Look at this shirt, isn't it cool? It's got a bunch of worms on strings. I almost died. Not really. But to my younger self, it definitely felt like I was going to. And I maybe could have because I was in such a panic. Let's just get into the story. For context, I was in first grade. For my non-American or non-US viewers, the way most US schooling works is you get enrolled. You start going to school at around. You start going to school around the age of 4 or 5, where you start pre-kindergarten and then go to kindergarten. And at this point, I was only about 7, so I was in first grade around that time. And when I was younger, and still a little bit now, but when I was younger, I was very much into history, and particularly US history, and even more specifically, the Revolution. It just always fascinated me. So during one of the breaks, I think it was spring break of that year, my family planned to go on a trip to Washington, D.C. For those who don't live in the United States, one of the big appeals about going to D.C. is that a big chunk of the museums, and there are a lot because it's a very historical place, most of the museums are free to go look around and learn or interact with all the things they have. So this seemed like a logical, idea, and I did enjoy the trip. But that's not where the almost dying happened. I had a great time looking at all the history and participating in the events. No. The problem came when they were doing construction outside. Not really. The problem came when we got to our hotel and we had noticed, or little me had noticed, that there was a regular pool downstairs, I believe, but not only was there a pool downstairs, there was one on the roof. And let me preface the rest of this story by saying, at this age, I was terrified of the ocean. I did not want anything to do with it. I was terrified of the waves. It scared me. I hated getting the water in my eyes. I hated everything about it. I remember my dad kind of carrying me into the ocean and holding me above the waves because I was so scared, and that was also one of the only ways I would go into the ocean. Also at that age, because I hated the ocean, I preferred pools. You could give me a pool, you could give me a hot tub, a kiddie pool even. I was content. Now it's basically almost completely flopped, but if I don't have the option of an ocean, I'm going to choose a pool. So if you laid them out in front of me now, I'd go ocean, pool, lake. But yeah, at this age, I would have killed to go in that pool. Turns out, fate had it out for me that day. Probably not really. I'm probably making this more dramatic than it was. But to me, it was really scary. At this point, I didn't really know how to swim. I was practicing. At some point, I did take swimming lessons, but I don't remember what age that was. And I saw the pool, and I got in it maybe a couple times that week. I don't know. I don't remember how long we stayed there. Maybe just a couple nights. I genuinely do not remember. What I do remember is looking at the pool and desiring to go swim in the deep end to prove that I could in fact swim. This was a mistake. And I realized it was a mistake as soon as I jumped into the deep end. The thing was though, right? For a second I was calm and I was like, okay, because there's that split second where you bounce back up from the bottom. But then I started freaking out. because I couldn't touch the bottom. Because I don't remember how short I was, but I was, 7 years old in a 5 foot deep pool, barely knowing mechanics of swimming at that age. So I start splashing around. I don't think there was a lifeguard on duty. I'm pretty sure there was a sign that said swim at your own risk. Boy, did I do that. So I start splashing around, calling for help. My sister was in the pool. My mom was on the edge of the pool. My sister starts to try and make her way to me, but I'm freaking out too much. I am actually really panicking and like actually getting water in my mouth. So then my mom comes around to the edge of the pool and then jumps in with her business casual clothes on because I'm just needy. And yeah, that was a very interesting experience because I don't remember what happened after. I don't remember if she completely took me out of the pool. I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't want to stay in the pool after that. I think I felt bad. I don't remember, but I think I went back to the hotel room with her. Well, she changed into dry clothes. So yeah, that's my story about how I almost died